Sherlock Holmes and the Young Detectives, The Disappearance of Henry Wilkes, by Ngamoko Nikora. Chapter 1. A Mysterious Disappearance. The streets of London bustled with the morning crowd, and the sun cast a golden hue over the city. Inside the confines of 221B Baker Street, Sherlock Holmes sat in his study, pipe in hand, contemplating the latest puzzling case that had crossed his path. Just then, the cheerful laughter of the young detectives, Tom, Mark, Tipo, and B, broke through the otherwise solemn atmosphere. They had been visiting frequently, learning from the great detective and sharpening their skills in the world of mystery. "What are we working on today, Mr. Holmes?" Tom asked excitedly as he entered the room. "There's been a peculiar case that requires our attention," Holmes replied, immediately redirecting their focus. "A wealthy man named Henry Wilkes has vanished without a trace while en route to his office." "Henry Wilkes?" Tipo exclaimed, the name igniting recognition. "Isn't he a well-known figure in London's high society?" "Indeed, but it appears he is also involved in a more nefarious business. Diamond smuggling," Holmes added, his eyes narrowing. "He recently sailed to Casablanca aboard his private yacht, where he is believed to have met contacts to exchange diamonds he intended to smuggle back into the United Kingdom." "Sounds shady," Mark commented. "Is it possible the trip went awry?" "That is precisely what we have to determine," Holmes stated. "Reports indicate that not only has Wilkes vanished, but so have the diamonds." Chapter 2. The investigation begins. With urgency and purpose, the young detectives gathered their gear and headed to the docks, eager to uncover the truth behind the enigmatic disappearance of Henry Wilkes. They set sail aboard one of Holmes's trusted boats, ensuring their approach was discreet. As they arrived at the docks in Casablanca, the bright colours and bustling life of the port welcomed them, but the young detectives maintained a focused demeanour. "Holmes, do you have any leads on where we should begin?" B asked, glancing at the busy street before them. "First, we shall visit the last known location of Wilkes, a cafe where he was rumoured to have met his contacts. We must gather information without raising suspicion," Holmes replied, leading them down the narrow streets filled with the aromas of spices and local delicacies. Chapter 3. The Cafe Encounter. The cafe was small and crowded, the air filled with murmurs and laughter. They found a discreet corner booth and observed the patrons closely, noting any information that might be useful. Holmes' keen eyes surveyed the scene while the young detectives fanned out to gather information. Tom approached the local merchant with a friendly smile. "Excuse me, sir," he asked. "Have you seen a gentleman named Henry Wilkes around here? He's quite well known." The merchant squinted, considering. Yes, I recall a man like that. He was here last week, meeting with two shady-looking fellows. They exchanged some parcels before he left. I heard talk of diamonds." "Diamonds?" Tom echoed, feeling a jolt of excitement. "Did you see where they went afterward?" "Not far, I believe. They departed down toward the old warehouse district," the merchant replied, nodding in that direction. Returning to the table, Tom shared the newfound lead with Holmes and the others. "The warehouse district. We need to check it out." "Precisely what I had in mind," Holmes replied, rising swiftly. "Let us proceed with caution." Chapter 4. A Chilling Discovery. As they ventured into the warehouse district, their atmosphere grew tense. The shadows of tall buildings loomed overhead, and the narrow alleys echoed with the sound of dripping water. Holmes led the way, his presence radiating confidence. Before long, they stumbled upon a dilapidated warehouse that appeared derelict. The windows were dusty, and a rusty sign creaked with the wind, but Holmes sensed that this was a place of significance. "Keep watch while I investigate further," he instructed. The team nodded, taking positions to observe their surroundings. Just moments later, Holmes returned, his expression grave. "We have to move inside. There's a strong possibility that Wilkes and the diamonds could be here." As they entered the warehouse, the musty air filled their lungs, and the faint light filtered through the cracks. They started to search the small rooms within. After scanning the first few areas, they stumbled upon a hidden door at the back. Chapter 5. The Hidden Room. With caution, they pushed the door open to reveal a concealed room. As the young detectives illuminated the space with their flashlights, they found stacks of crates marked with warning labels and heavy locks. "What is all this?" Mark wondered aloud. Holmes inspected one of the crates. "These are likely the diamonds, but it appears that Wilkes may have been more than just a smuggler. Look here, this one is not sealed properly." Suddenly, a noise behind them made them freeze. Holmes quickly signaled for silence as they turned, only to see a dim light flickering in the corner. Before they could react, a figure stepped into view, the very same two men who had been seen with Wilkes in the cafe. They appeared startled, but quickly recovered. "What are you doing here?" One of them barked, attempting to sound authoritative. "We are here to uncover the truth about Henry Wilkes," Holmes replied smoothly, his demeanour unfazed. "Where is he?" "None of your business," the other man said, attempting to back away toward the exit. Holmes sprang into action, and the young detectives followed suit, cornering the men against the wall. "Enlighten us, gentlemen," Holmes asserted. "Is Wilkes still alive?" Chapter 6. The Revelation. With nowhere to run, the men exchanged panicked glances. All right. We didn't mean for this to happen," one of them admitted, sweating profusely. "He disappeared after we made the exchange. We assumed he might have double-crossed us." "What do you mean, double-crossed?" B pressed, taking a step closer. "Wilkes was planning to sell the diamonds to another party," the man confessed. "We had no idea he intended to fool us. When he finished the deal, he was supposed to meet us here, but he never arrived. We tried to find him, but it seems he had other plans." As the pieces fell together, Holmes's mind raced. "So you did not have him kidnapped?" "No, we swear it," both men exclaimed, desperation creeping into their voices. "We don't know what happened." Holmes exchanged glances with Tom and the others, understanding that they needed to dig deeper to find the truth. "Thank you for your cooperation," he said, turning to the young detectives. "We must track down the party Wilkes was dealing with and see if they have any information on his whereabouts." Chapter 7. The Next Move. After detaining the men and alerting Inspector Lestrade and the local authorities, Holmes and the young detectives returned to their temporary headquarters. The sun was setting as they planned their next move to uncover Wilkes's current situation. We need to gather intel on Wilkes's business dealings and find anyone connected to him, Teeple suggested, tapping the table with eagerness. Excellent idea, Holmes replied. With our combined resources, we can look into the contacts he was meeting and where they might lead us. Hours passed as they pored over leads, pouring records and connections, until finally they stumbled upon an elusive figure known for dubious dealings in diamonds, an individual by the name of Victor LaRue. This man has a reputation for being quite ruthless, Holmes informed the group. If Wilkes is in trouble, LaRue may have a hand in it. Chapter 8. A Race Against Time. Following the trail of LaRue, they embarked on yet another journey, this time deeper into the heart of Casablanca. Every moment was crucial, and Holmes knew they had to act fast. Upon reaching the location of LaRue's last known residence, they found themselves facing yet another darkened alley. They made a series of stealthy approaches, ensuring they caused no alert. As they reached LaRue's estate, the group took a deep breath, gathering their courage. They shared nervous glances. Their friend was in danger, and time was not on their side. "Let's split up," Holmes directed. "Tom and B, you'll take the back entrance, while Tom and Mark follow my lead in the front. We must catch him off guard." As they split, the air thrummed with energy and tension, each step echoing the importance of their mission. Chapter 9. The Climax. As they advanced, they found themselves in a dimly lit room, heavy with the scent of smoke and deceit. Holmes signaled for silence as they detected voices coming from deeper within. Peeking through a small crack in the door, they found LaRue and Wilkes seated at a table, a stack of diamonds glimmering between them. "Your game is over, LaRue. With these I will become the king of smuggling," Wilkes declared, his eyes wild with greed. "Don't get greedy, Wilkes," LaRue warned, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "You double-cross me, and I'll ensure you disappear, just like those diamonds you thought would make you rich." In a swift motion, Holmes flung open the door, stepping boldly into the room. "Gentlemen, I believe your dealings have come to an end." The shock on their faces was palpable. "Holmes, you—" Wilkes stammered. The shock dissipated quickly, and he lunged for a gun on the table. Chapter 10. Resolution. In a flash, Holmes was upon him, disarming Wilkes with remarkable speed. The rest of the young detectives rushed in to assist, tackling LaRue before he could make a move. "Inspector Lestrade," Holmes commanded as they subdued LaRue, "we need the authorities here immediately." Within minutes, Lestrade and the local police officers arrived on the scene, arresting both men. With the danger past, Holmes turned towards Wilkes, who now looked more helpless than the smuggler he had been moments before. "Why were you so reckless, Wilkes?" Holmes asked, shaking his head. "Your greed nearly cost you everything." I didn't think," Wilkes stammered, his bravado dwindling in the realization of his defeat. "You must call your family to notify them of your safety. Bee said gently, her heart softened by the man's remorse. Epilogue. A new beginning. As the dust settled and the authorities took over, the group made their way back to London, tired but triumphant. Holmes and the young detectives had cracked the case, uncovering not just the whereabouts of Henry Wilkes, but also exposing the dark underbelly of diamond smuggling. "You have all proven yourselves valuable partners in this endeavour," Holmes remarked, a satisfied smile crossing his face. "Together we are capable of anything." Tom, Mark, Teapot and Bee shared proud smiles, knowing that their efforts had made a difference. Their adventures alongside Sherlock Holmes were far from over. They were just beginning to scratch the surface of the mysteries that awaited them. As they returned to the familiar confines of Baker Street, the air hummed with excitement and hope for all the thrilling escapades that lay ahead. The end. Sherlock Holmes and the Young Detectives. The Disappearance of Henry Wilkes by Ngamoko Nikora. Copyright Ngamoko Nikora.